Welcome everybody to today's Company Fierce Recast. Today I would like to show you a replay of mine playing as the US forces, and I play against the DAK because lately on Reddit I have seen a lot of requests on tips and tricks on how to play against the DAK, because apparently many people are suffering at the moment. And with that, let's give it a try. I would like to show you my build, or the build that I use the most lately against the DAK. I would like to anticipate that this build is working against the two predominant builds the DAK players are using at the moment. Both builds of the DAK, of course, are based on opener with the Kraftschützen into a few Panzer Grenadiers, and then they either go to the tier 2, the tech and the flak feeling, which is very suppressive or oppressive because it can pin. And it deals a lot of damage indeed, also against light and medium vehicles. The other build is based on the 8-rods and eventually the 8-rod spam. And yeah, this build I'm using at the moment is working against both. So let's take a look at that. As you can see, I picked the Spec Ops battle group and went for the Weasel opener over here. As you can see, it's on the Pacinos. Usually I don't like to use, or don't like to use light vehicles as an opener on the Pacinos, because all of the nukes and crannies over here usually prevent you from having a good time with these vehicles, or at least for me it felt like this. But yeah, maybe I was wrong about that, I don't know. So, the Weasel opener, I try to go for the tier 1 after the Weasel opener, because if you do it like that, then the Weasel is coming out way earlier. Turn I opened with the engineers. As most of you most likely know, I like to open with the engineers as well, because I am convinced that the green cover is very important in the early game as well. So I really like to open with the engineers to set up sandbags, and also to eventually repair the Weasel, even though it can repair itself. So, but it's a little bit slowly done, so that is probably not what you want to rely on during the entire game, early game. So some engineers are always a good thing to have, and they're also not too bad in the early game. Close range, they can deal a lot of damage, yeah. Alright, so as you can see, the Weasel is not equipped with the Utility already, but any second. And then it will be able to repel the Kraftschützen, which is very important. You won't be able to chase it down because the Kraftschützen are the fastest unit in the game, and the Weasel certainly can't get up with this velocity. However, you can repel it in a certain situation like over here. And this is good, because every time you buff your opponent, that costs some APM and makes the units that he's using, like the Kraftschützen, a little bit less efficiently. That's very good. At the same time, you may have noticed that the DAK player is now going for my 10x viewpoint over here. That's a common tactic, and I feel like it's pretty, let's say, inefficient trying to defend this point in the early game, because there are basically three buildings over here the opponent can occupy, especially Wehrmacht with the MG42, and your flamethrowers usually come too late to fight that efficiently. Oh, well, now I set up a trap over here. Didn't show you that. Anyway, Kraftschützen all dead. Oh, by the way, I think the red abilities of the Weasel are bugged, so pick whatever you want. Both are not working anyways, I guess. Yeah, and instead of defending this point with all efforts, usually I try to go for the cutoffs over here, because this way both of you don't get access to the 10x view points, and your opponent is even getting a little bit less of resources.
The enemy have taken territory from us.
Yeah, alright. I mean, he recapped this point over here already. Ooh, what's this? Use manpower income when captured must be connected to... yeah, no, but what do you see here? There's some barbed wire and some some cloths over here. Just over... No, I don't have this. That's new.
Players will light up the battlefield at your command.
No, but group is picked so far. Is that an ability of the Kratschützen probably? Where are they? Oh yeah, they are dead now. Oops. Alright, flamethrowers for both of our sides. I need to figure out what this is. I mean, there's no increased manpower.
Territory sector out of contact.
Can't from this point. But there's some barbed wire, which is confusing me a little bit. Anyway. Ah, no model drops for the DAK. Oh, bad, bad, bad. That's usually something you would like to aim for when you're playing as the US forces against the DAK, because every time you suffer some manpower bleed for the DAK, that's a good time for you, because the DAK really needs them. It still needs the manpower, that's very important. Sorry. Still a little bit slimy inside my throat. It's bad. Alright. Yeah, as you can see, I'm going for the infantry support center. Yeah. So I opened with two
We're losing a territory point.
riflemen initially. Usually, before I attack for the for a support center, I usually go for 3 riflemen. The flamethrower pioneer, scout squad, and the weasel. Then attack. And that's because the tech with this build is not... you don't urgently need to tech too early against like medium vehicles, especially because as soon as you hit enough command points, like 3, you can go for the commandos, and they are very good against all kinds of vehicles. Thus, you don't necessarily need to take for the support centers too early and go for the tier 3, for instance. However, if you are struggling against some early light or medium vehicle oppressions by the Axis, it also could be a viable choice to go for the tier 3 and just, yeah, basically spam Chaffies, because the Chaffies, I know some people already pointed out that, oh, that's a goner, that Chaffies and M8 Greyhounds are bad now, but that's actually not true. Ooh, could that be a wipe? No. That's not true. They are not as overpowered as they used to be. The US forces generally, they used to be overpowered. We need to point that out, and that was also the reason why I avoid this faction for such a long time. But now it is not overpowered anymore, and actually a lot of fun to play. But at the same time, it is not weak. The US forces are probably at the moment not the strongest faction. That's true. Personally, I think all the other factions are indeed stronger, but... and that also is reflected by the statistics in Company Furious 3 stats with a 47% of win rate for the US forces, but I think this win rate probably could be due to the fact that many people abused the US forces, and please let's be honest on that, and now are having a hard time to keep up with this faction because it's just not overpowered anymore. Anyway, since it's not anymore, and the Chaffies aren't as well, it's now still... it's a little bit harder to play the US forces, but the Chaffies are still very good. Okay, so, what can we see here? A defensive mine. Over here, it's always a good spot to use defensive mine, and probably a squad that's a little bit aggressively capping to bait an A-Rod, as you can see, and the A-Rod will now die to the commando. So that's basically what you use with this build. The commandos to repair the medium vehicles of the DAK. You don't necessarily need to get the advantage of a hidden mine, because the commandos, that's a great advantage. That's also the reason why the commandos are so good against the flak feeling as well, because, I mean, the flak feeling can snare, and that's obviously a threat for any infantry-based anti-tank firepower, but at the same time, the good thing about the commandos is that they have a very long range. So even on long range, or longest range for them, they are able to squeeze out shots and hit effectively. So they miss from time to time, but they are very accurate. And this is why when you encounter a flak half-track with commandos, you usually will be able to at least take 2 hits, and sometimes even 4 hits. That won't be enough to kill the flak half-track most of the cases, even though, or even more if these upgrades hit for the DAK, like the survival package, for instance. Yeah. But at the same time, it will be repelled as soon as it got one hit, or maybe even 2. Now I remember the situation. Over here, there's another more or less offensive mine now. This will cost him another squad wipe, even though I planned this engagement a little bit, so I wanted to get this squad wipe anyway, because I noticed that there was a Pencil Grenadier overextending over here, so I rallied up a lot of units like over here to block the retreat path. Anyway, now, don't forget to take the grenades, because as you can see over here, the rest of the commandos, 2 grenades, and the flamethrower tank is not just snared, but probably also doomed, because now the commandos can probably chase it down, shoot, run, wait for them to reload, and they already did, so I was a little bit slower here, but shoot again, and chase. They were now pretty slow, probably due to the fence, I don't know. Ah yeah, they needed to climb a fence. Alright, and with that it's GG. So, as you can see, the commandos are a very viable choice, and I even went for... Okay, now it's the screen turned black. But I even went for a second commando squad after the first one. And unfortunately now I talked a lot about the other factors of the game, but not that much about the build. You may figure that out if you watch this video several times. However, I think I will also make a short version of this build for everybody who is interested in just having some build orders, because maybe you can't spend so much time in figuring out them on your own. And yeah, with that, let's say GG's, well played, and let's have a good time. See you guys.
But the woman he loves, and his at so 59.